Good morning and welcome to the EFL betting show on Football League World TV. My name's Ned Holmes and I'm joined by my colleague Marcus Ali to try and get you the best value out of the Championship, League One and League Two fixtures this weekend. How are you doing this morning, Marcus?
Yeah, really well. Thanks, Ned. Plenty of enticing prices going into this weekend's action, I think. Middlesbrough let me down in my banker and one of my wildcard selections last week. So I've kind of learned my lesson there, and I've chosen some different matches rather than relying on one sole outcome this week. But no, yeah, really enthusiastic about some of my selections, hoping to make up for a loss of a week last week. But no, it's a good way to get excited ahead of the weekend's fixtures.
Absolutely. Well, if nothing else, it should be a reminder to never bet against Bristol City, Marcus. Just a reminder to like this video, subscribe to Football League World TV on YouTube, and of course, let us know in the comments your predictions, any bets you've got on this weekend. You know, is there anything that you just really in your gut is going to happen? And a reminder, of course, before we get started, to please gamble responsibly, 18 and over only. We will get started then, as we always do, with the banker. And Marcus, I'll ask you for yours first.
Okay, so at risk of sounding like a broken record yet again, I am remaining on the Middlesbrough Chris Wilder train once again for my banker. And that's Middlesbrough to win at Barnsley at 17-20. Now, Barnsley have picked up a little bit in the last few weeks, got a couple of wins against Queen's Park Rangers and then Hull City last time out. Personally, I'm not buying it. I don't think the numbers have been backing it up at all. You look at those last three matches, which there was a loss to Coventry City in the middle of those two victories. They're only averaging 0.61 expected goals for per game. So at the end of the day, they're putting away a few chances that isn't as repeatable as definitely as some of the other teams around them, and Middlesbrough, who are trending as one of the better teams in the division at the moment. I mean, Bazzi and Domingos Quina have made a good impact since coming in January, bit less sort of scarred from the first half of the season at Oakwell, but I don't think it'll be enough against a Middlesbrough side that were able to get back on track from that defeat at Ashton Gate with an impressive 2-1 win at home to West Bromwich Albion in midweek. Paddy McNair and Anthony Dijksteel are really growing into their roles as the sort of left and right-sided centre-backs. McNair popping up with a goal, Dijksteel very much involved in the second as well. Even in Borough's loss at Ashton Gate last week, they lost 2-1 to Bristol City. They generated over 3 expected goals in the game. So if they're able to repeat anything like that, the chances are they do end up scoring one goal, which, as we've seen this season, it is very often enough to get past Barnsley. So I'm remaining enthusiastic about Borough. I think this price would be a lot shorter if it wasn't for Barnsley's sort of mini resurgence, which, as I've said, performance-wise, I'm not really subscribing to. So I'm happy to stay with Middlesbrough 17-20 at Oakwell. This is a side that I probably can see being destined for relegation against a side that I expect to comfortably cement a playoff place in the coming months. So even despite them letting me down last week, I'm going in again with Middlesbrough to win at Barnsley at 17-20.
Yeah, certainly. Even after that slip up against Bristol City, the way they finished in that second half against West Brom really means that they head into this game with some momentum, and you'd expect Wilder's team to get back on track with a chance to sort of springboard into the top 6. Well, my banker, we go down to League One, and I've got Cheltenham to beat Crewe at £3 to £5 returns, 8.75. Only 2 wins in their last 4 for Cheltenham, and 2 draws in the last 2, but they came in a sort of wild 5-5 against Wickham and a 0-0 draw with Ipswich, and I think they'll come into this really high in confidence against a Crewe team that are really probably the worst team in the division right now. 6 games on the bounce. No, 7 games on the bounce. Sorry, they've lost, and they look a team destined for League Two. Add to that, they've only won sort of 6 points on the road all season, and I can only really see this one going one way. So that's Cheltenham to beat Crewe at 3 to 4 for my banker. We come then, Marcus, to the accumulator. What have you got this week?
So I'm sticking with my banker in the accumulator. I do like to go with a threefold in one of these. Keep it a little bit more cautious maybe than some other accumulators. This comes in at 13-2. So it's 3 teams to win. My second team after Middlesbrough is also an away team, this Forest Green Rovers at Crawley Town. John Jens Crawley have only won 1 of 12 matches at home, losing 9 in that run, have been shipping goals as well over that period. Forest Green Rovers lost 1-0 at home to Walsall in their last outing. To be honest, I kind of see that as I can see them bouncing back even stronger rather than letting some complacency seep into their play. It'd be interesting to see how Rob Edwards' men bounce back. I think they will, like the champions in waiting that we all seem to be expecting that they are. It's an eye-catching price, really, 1.99 to 10 Forest Green to win at Crawley when you consider just how much of a class above the Green have been this season. And yeah, a win at Crawley would take them another step further to securing automatic promotion. The second team is a home win. That's Port Vale to beat Stevenage. Vale were unbeaten in 7. A big crowd expected at Vale Park to get behind the team and show their support for, of course, the absent Darryl Clark. Best wishes, of course, from us to him and his family at this time. Stevenage as well have picked up just 2 points from their last 5 games, only scoring in 1 of those 5 encounters as well. So definitely a side out of nick, really, going to Vale Park and Vale chasing down the playoff places. Vale have the second best defensive record via expected goals, whereas Stevenage are third bottom on that metric. I just think with the games in hand that they've got, Vale are a side, as I've been saying for a while, to watch it as we head towards that final stretch of the season. They'll definitely be looking to book a place in the playoffs, and I think Stevenage is quite a nice side to be facing at home in such an important game, and one that could have big implications on their playoff push. So that's FGR to win at Crawley, Vale to win at home to Stevenage, and Middlesbrough to win at Barnsley comes in at just over 13-2.
I think that's a really nice one, and certainly one that I could see coming in. As you have, I've stuck with my banker in my ACCA. It's a threefold as well. So Cheltenham to beat Crewe, and then unfortunately for you, Marcus, I've got Sheffield Wednesday to beat Charlton. Obviously Wednesday in fantastic form. They've won 4 of their last 5, and the loss in that run was against Rotherham, who I'm sure people are getting bored of us saying it on Football League World TV, but they're quite heads above anyone else in the division. Charlton, obviously 4 defeats on the bounce, and while those were against tough opposition and certainly difficult games, I don't think things get any easier against a Wednesday side sort of really high in confidence, and the Addicts really don't have a huge amount to play for. It is perhaps a cliche to say that they are clearly too good to go down, if you excuse the cliche, but yeah, I can't see them getting sucked into that. So that's Sheffield Wednesday to beat Charlton, and then at fairly long odds, and one that I'll get to talk about again in my value, it is Doncaster to beat Wimbledon. I think we've seen Gary McSheffrey's side produce some impressive results in recent weeks, and be massive for them, obviously, if they can win away at Wimbledon. I think they've got a great chance of doing so, and haven't been hugely impressed by the Dons recently, and they were lucky not to lose against Gillingham. I think that they could have Alex Woodyard, Ayub Assal and Jack Rodoni back, but I still think Rovers have got a great chance of winning here. So that's a 15.84 to 1. £5 returns, I think, 84 to 21 for my ACCA. We come to the value bet then. Marcus, what have you gone for this week?
So I'm going with Oldham. The Resurrection is well underway. They've picked up 11 points from 15 under John Sheridan and then clawed their way out of the League Two relegation zone already. They face a trip to Colchester United on Saturday, a team struggling under Wayne Brown. I'm really surprised in this fixture to see Colchester United as the favourites with the bookmakers. If looking at a 6-game form table, Oldham sit 4th and Colchester sit 19th. So if you're looking at that stretch of fixtures, and giving it some weight on how the game will go. Fourth travelling to 19th and being outsiders to win the match is a little bit surprising. I'm going to take them at a draw no bet just to keep that on side. That's at 6-4. So if the match ends in a draw, our stake will be returned. Colchester United are definitely on a downward spiral. They had a little bit of a renaissance after Wayne Brown took to the helm, but he is only an interim manager after all. And that form has slid off in the last month or so, where Oldham have looked the best that they have done this season. Davis Keylor has looked like one of the better attacking midfielders in the division. Hallam Hope is an experienced player at the top of the pitch that could cause some problems. Of course, they got assist merchant Nicky Adams as well, operating on the right flank. So I'm feeling quite good about Oldham. This is definitely a side on the up, travelling to a team that's on the way down, both off the pitch and on it. So there's definitely some concerns about whether Colchester could get sucked right into the relegation battle, with Carlisle United, of course, appointing a new manager in the last few days as well. So I definitely think this is a massive price on Oldham to win the game, but making the most of that value in the market. I'm going to take Oldham draw no bet at 6-4. That's my value bet for this week.
Certainly some surprising value there, as you say. As I hinted at before, I've stuck with Doncaster to beat Wimbledon. They're at a massive sort of 4-1 to win that game. Obviously, it is at Wimbledon, and Wimbledon might be boosted but by the return of the trio I mentioned before. But I really think, for all the sort of reasons I spoke about in the ACO, I think Doncaster have got a fantastic chance of producing another result here, and at 4-1, that's great value if you're willing to back it. We move on to the wildcard selection. Marcus, as you said, last week's didn't quite come off involved with Middlesbrough. What have you gone for this week?
So I've looked for a goal scorer for this week's wild card, and I looked at the team that I was possibly most confident to get over the line out of my selections, and that's Forest Green to win at Crawley, by far and away the best side in League Two this season. So they have the second top scorer in League Two, and that's Matty Stevens. He's accumulated the highest expected goals of any individual in the fourth tier as well. So hopefully he'll be getting on the end of some chances at Broadfield Stadium once again. Crawley have been far from solid at the back as well. They've struggled at home really to keep a lid on things, particularly in the last few months. Matty Stevens is pretty short to score any time, so I've decided to take him to score 2 or more goals. He scored a brace for Forest Green 5 times already this season, so 6-1 against a side that are far from convincing defensively, I think, in Crawley, and also have maybe a little bit less to play for and could rise to the occasion and really trying to attack Forest Green, which could leave them a little bit more open defensively. So I'm feeling pretty good about Matty Stevens to get on the score sheet, and then bumping it up for the wild card, Matty Stevens to get a brace or of course score more than 2, and that's at 6-1.
Yeah, certainly wouldn't be a surprise to see him back in the goals. For my wild card this week, I've gone for one, which I just felt it. I couldn't really choose between who I wanted for my value bet. So I've gone for one which is perhaps outside odds, but I've got a funny feeling perhaps it might come off. I've got Bristol City away at Forest at 4-1. That's the longest odds of any team in the Championship this weekend, which I couldn't really ignore, and for me is worth a couple of quid on at least. I think we saw against Borough that this City team is sort of capable of shocking the playoff chasers. Obviously, Borough unlucky, you'd say, not to come away with at least a draw in that game, given the XG you spoke about earlier and how they played. But City are a team that capable of hurting people, and particularly if as long as they're not sort of defending a lead late on, as we've seen. They've been a lot better, I think, than their results suggest recently, and in the likes of Alex Scott, Anton Semenyo, Andy Vyman, they've got players that can really hurt Forest. I think just 4-1 is sort of excellent value in my eyes. So it's one to chuck in if you fancy it, really. Well, that's everything from us on the EFL betting show today, but we've got one more show on Football League World TV. George Douglas will be your host for the EFL weekend preview at 4 p.m, and it's not one you want to miss. But for now, just I'd say thanks to Marcus and thanks everyone for watching.